You're listening to Business English Pod, the business English podcast for professionals on the move.
Hello, and welcome back to Business English Pod. My name's Edwin, and I'll be your host for today's lesson on discussing solutions to a problem. Before we get started, a quick reminder that this lesson, along with hundreds of others, is available as a free download from the BEP website. Premium members can also access a PDF transcript and online quizzes for every lesson. If you'd like to take a free trial to preview some of these extra resources, just head over to www.businessenglishpod.com. Have you ever been in a meeting where everyone just wants to complain about a problem? And maybe they criticize every solution that is suggested. Well, if that's all you do, the problem will never be solved. Discussing solutions is all about figuring out what might actually work. It's about finding the best solution, even if it's not the perfect solution. So you need to learn how to agree with people's ideas, either strongly or with conditions. In other words, you might agree, but only if something else can happen. If you're leading a problem-solving meeting, you'll likely need to highlight the best solution that comes forward. Even when you have a pretty good solution, you might still want to invite more ideas. And whether you're leading or participating in the meeting, you might offer to take the lead on implementing a solution. In this lesson, we'll cover all these skills for discussing solutions. In today's dialogue, we'll rejoin a teleconference led by Jim. On the line with Jim are Jack, Dan, and Angie. They are discussing how to deal with the issue of paint fumes at a factory. They're trying to find the best way to solve this problem. As you listen to the dialogue, try to answer the following questions. 1. What expression does Angie use to agree strongly with Dan's idea? 2. What solution does Jim highlight as the best one? 3. What does Dan say he wants to do about the research on different types of paint?
I suppose we could do that, Jack, but that sounds expensive. And we've been thinking more along the lines of changing the way we do things, rather than spending a lot more money.
Well, can we consider using some other kind of paint, maybe water-based, that doesn't have any unhealthy fumes?
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say that. How about that, Jack? Is that possible?
It could work, provided we find the right paint. I don't know much about water-based paint, since we've never used them, and I don't know about the quality.
Why don't we look into that then? I'm sure if we use paint with no fumes, it'll be very easy to show the inspectors that the problem's been solved.
Can I just check who's doing what? I don't have a research staff down here, and...
Not to worry, Jack. I think it's been done by other manufacturers. And Jim, if it's okay with you, I'd like to manage this study, since I'm sure my people can come up with some good solutions.
No argument for me on that, but I don't want to stop brainstorming if there are some other good ideas you might have. Does anyone else have another suggestion to make?
Now let's go through the dialogue again and look at the language the group used in their teleconference. We rejoin the discussion just after Jack has suggested making some equipment changes.
I suppose we could do that, Jack, but that sounds expensive. And we've been thinking more along the lines of changing the way we do things, rather than spending a lot more money.
Well, can we consider using some other kind of paint, maybe water-based, that doesn't have any unhealthy fumes?
When Angie makes it clear that the solution can't cost a lot, Dan suggests changing the type of paint they use. So what does Angie think of this solution?
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say that. How about that, Jack? Is that possible?
Angie doesn't just agree with Dan's idea, she strongly agrees with it. And she shows this with two different expressions. First, she says you took the words right out of my mouth. This has the same meaning as her second expression. I was just about to say that. What are some other ways we can agree strongly with someone's suggestion? Let's run through a few more examples.
Yeah, Dave, you've hit the nail on the head there. You're absolutely right about that.
I'm with you 100%, Susie.
I totally see what you're saying.
So Angie thinks changing the type of paint is a great idea. But what about Jack?
It could work, provided we find the right paint. I don't know much about water-based paint since we've never used them, and I don't know about the quality.
Jack agrees, but not as strongly as Angie. In fact, he says it could work, provided that they find the right paint. Provided that means if. So Jack is agreeing, but with a condition. In this case, the condition is that they can find a good water-based paint. When you're discussing how to solve a problem, you'll find many solutions that are possible only with conditions. Using provided that is just one way of saying this. Let's practice some other ways of agreeing with conditions.
Yeah, that would be okay if we can get finance to approve it.
As long as it fits with our branding, we could do that.
If everyone else thinks it's a good idea, then I won't stand in your way.
Provided the research supports this idea, I can go along with it.
Angie likes Dan's suggestion, and Jack thinks it's pretty good. But what about Jim?
Why don't we look into that then? I'm sure if we use paint with no fumes, it'll be very easy to show the inspectors that the problem's been solved.
If you heard our last lesson, you heard the group discuss several solutions that didn't work for different reasons. So this idea of changing the paint seems like the best solution so far. As the meeting leader, it's Jim's job to highlight this fact. As he says, if the paint doesn't have fumes, they can show the inspectors that it's a good solution. An inspector is an official who checks to make sure a factory or other facility is safe and healthy. Now let's run through some other ways of highlighting the best solution to a problem.
If Jane is the most experienced, then it looks like she's the best option.
It sounds like we all agree that we should take the place on 4th Avenue.
So, because of its size, it's clear that we should go with the X500.
Okay then, if canceling the event is the preferred solution, let's do it.
Next, Jack's got an important question to ask the group.
Can I just check who's doing what? I don't have a research staff down here, and...
Not to worry, Jack. I think it's been done by other manufacturers. And Jim, if it's okay with you, I'd like to manage this study, since I'm sure my people can come up with some good solutions.
Solutions don't implement themselves, and Jack wants to know who is going to do the research about new kinds of paint. This is an important topic in any discussion about solutions. Fortunately, Dan wants to take the lead. He says, "I'd like to manage this study," and emphasizes that his team can come up with or create some good solutions. In this way, Dan's not only discussing solutions, he's offering to do something. Let's try some more examples of offering to do something or taking the lead on implementing a solution.
I'll be happy to write the final report for this.
I'd be willing to organize the schedule if that's okay with everyone.
If you're looking for a team leader, I'm prepared to take that on.
If nobody minds, I'll get started on the design right away.
Does Jim accept Dan's offer to take the lead?
No argument for me on that, but I don't want to stop brainstorming if there are some other good ideas you might have. Does anyone else have another suggestion to make?
Jim uses yet another expression to strongly agree with someone. He says, "No argument from me," about Dan's offer to take the lead. But just because they've found one possible solution doesn't mean they found the only possible solution. So how does Jim invite more ideas? First, he says he doesn't want to stop brainstorming. And second, he asks directly if anyone has any other suggestions. What are some other ways we can invite more solutions in a discussion? Let's run through a few more examples.
Lots of great ideas here. Anyone have anything more to add?
If anyone else has any ideas, I'd love to hear them.
So, are there any other possibilities we haven't considered?
Let's see if we can come up with a few more ideas before we finish.
Jim has invited more possible solutions, but our dialogue has come to an end. The team has considered a few different options and chosen one to focus on. Now let's practice some of the language we just learned with a short role play. Imagine that you are participating in a teleconference about hiring a new web designer. You'll hear a cue from the leader of the meeting. Then I'll give you a suggestion for what you can say in response. We'll guide you through each step in the practice and provide an example answer for each response. Ready? Let's give it a go.
Okay, so I really think we need to hire a new web designer.
Start by showing that you agree strongly with this idea.
Answer: Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.
Great! I'm hoping that we can make a decision by the end of the month.
Next, say that you agree as long as you can find a good designer.
Answer: Well, as long as we can find a good designer, we can do that.
All right. If we post the job right away, that should be possible.
Now, highlight the solution you've just discussed.
Answer: Okay, then let's do it right away and find a good designer soon.
Wonderful. So all we need to do now is to draft the job posting.
Finally, offer to take the lead on drafting the job posting.
Answer: I'll be happy to take the lead on that.
To finish off, let's practice some of the vocabulary and expressions we've covered in this lesson. In a moment, you'll hear a series of sentences with a word replaced with a beep. Repeat each sentence, including the missing word. For example, if you hear,
All right, let's figure out who's doing on this project.
you can say,
All right, let's figure out who's doing what on this project.
After each response, we'll provide the correct answer. Let's begin.
I totally agree, John. You've taken the words right out of my... Answer: I totally agree, John. You've taken the words right out of my mouth.
Well, if that's the best option, then there's no from me on that. Answer: Well, if that's the best option, then there's no argument for me on that.
We need to clean this place up before the safety arrives. Answer: We need to clean this place up before the safety inspector arrives.
I hope the marketing team can come up some good ideas for us.
Answer:
Answer: I hope the marketing team can come up with some good ideas for us.
That's all for this lesson, the second part of our series on discussing solutions to problems. We've learned how to agree strongly and with conditions, as well as how to highlight the best solution. We've also learned how to offer to do something and how to invite more ideas. For more practice, premium members can access the online quizzes and study notes for this and other lessons on the BEP website. Not a member yet? Then head over to www.businessenglishpod.com and sign up for a free trial to preview some of the extra resources available to members. Thanks for listening, and see you again soon.